Imagine this. It's Friday afternoon. Your coworkers are talking weekend plans. Soccer games, date nights, brunch. You're not going to any of those because tonight you pack your uniform, lace up your boots, and you hit the road. Maybe you're driving 4 hours to an armory. Maybe you're flying to a base across the country. Wherever it is, one thing's for certain. Your civilian life goes dark and your military self switches on. Emails get an auto reply, group chats go silent, and you leave behind your family, your job, your home. And you step back into a role you last played a month ago. You pick up where you left off. Same mission, same team, same expectations, like you never left. It's only 2 days, or maybe it's a week. Maybe it's 2 weeks for annual training. But it changes everything. You miss those birthday parties. You reschedule those meetings. You train like you'll deploy tomorrow because you might. And when it's over, you hang up your gear, you get in your car, and you drive home to re-enter normal life like nothing happened. If you've ever worked with a reservist, or maybe they're a loved one, or maybe you share a neighborhood with someone who serves, this episode's for you. Today on Midweek Sitrep, we're peeling back the curtain on a military force that's often overlooked, but absolutely vital to national security. America's reserve component. Hey everybody, welcome to Midweek Sitrep, your bi-weekly briefing on national security law and policy. My name is Jerry Fowler, and I'm your host. Every other week, I break down what you need to know and what you might have missed in the world of national security, all in under 20 minutes, so you can stay mission focused. Before we do a deep dive in the world of the reserve component of the military, let's discuss what we should be monitoring in the world of national security since our last episode. The Treasury Department has launched a CFIUS Fast Track program to expedite foreign investment reviews for trusted partner nations. The goal? Streamline low-risk deals while keeping critical national security protections in place. The Trump administration has rescinded the Biden-era AI diffusion rule, reopening the door for exports of advanced AI chips to strategic partners like Saudi Arabia. Officials say the move will strengthen alliances and promote AI collaboration while still protecting national security. President Trump, during an official visit to Saudi Arabia, announced over $600 billion in new AI and defense agreements. The deals include investments in AI infrastructure and advanced weapon systems, marking a major strategic and economic partnership between the U.S. and Riyadh. Senator Tom Cotton has introduced the Chip Security Act, calling for location tracking mechanisms on AI chips to prevent unauthorized diversion. The proposal reflects growing bipartisan concern over semiconductor leakage and national security. China has moved to tighten controls over exports of strategic minerals, including rare earth elements essential to semiconductors and defense tech. The move could pressure global supply chains and intensify strategic competition with the U.S. in critical minerals. Stay ahead by monitoring how these stories evolve. Now, let's talk about the reserve component. We've all seen the commercials. You know the ones. High energy music, helicopters flying overhead, someone in uniform saying, 1 week in a month. 2 weeks a year. It became cultural shorthand for reserve service. Something part-time, like a side hustle, but in uniform. See, but here's the truth. That line was never the full story, and today, it's barely even relevant. The reserve component is more than just a part-time force. It's the backbone of the U.S. military's ability to surge when the country's in crisis. So here's how it works. The active component is your full-time military. That's your troops on bases, ships, and overseas. The reserve component is made up of two distinct groups, the reserves and the National Guard. let's talk about the reserves first. They exist to augment and support the active component. They provide trained personnel and specialized units to be mobilized by the federal government for war, contingency operations, or national emergencies. And this is a purely federal mission. There is no state mission here. Now, the National Guard has a dual mission, both state and federal, operating under both the governor for Title 32 missions and the president for Title 10. Now, each of the 54 National Guards, which is one for each U.S. state, territory, and the District of Columbia, can be activated by a governor for emergencies like wildfires, floods, and civil unrest. National Guard units can also be federally mobilized to deploy overseas alongside active duty forces during wartime or other national missions. Now, here's where it breaks down between reserves and National Guard. Only the Army and Air Force have National Guard components. That's why you don't see a Navy National Guard. You see an Army National Guard and an Air National Guard. And the National Guard isn't backup. It's America's oldest fighting force, born in 1636 and ready to respond to wildfires, floods, civil unrest, and war. And together, the Guard and Reserve are how we fight sustained conflicts without a draft. So why are we talking about this today? Because in the next war, or the next cyber attack, earthquake, or foreign crisis, the people getting the call won't all be on active duty. It'll be someone like your coworker, who's in your IT department, but also serves in a cyber defense unit. Your neighbor who flies regional jets Monday through Friday and wears a flight suit on the weekends. Your local ER nurse who just got mobilized for a humanitarian mission overseas. See, these are citizen soldiers, and the entire system depends on them being ready, supported, and understood. In Iraq and Afghanistan, nearly 45% of U.S. troops came from the Guard and Reserves. During COVID, over 60,000 National Guard members activated for domestic response. They delivered vaccines, they built testing sites, they staffed overrun hospitals. This isn't theoretical. This is operational. But here's the danger. If employers don't understand, if families burn out, if policymakers don't protect them, this system breaks. And that puts everything at risk. Let's make it real. Reservists serve in every domain. A cybersecurity consultant may spend their weekends tracking threats for U.S. Cyber Command. A JAG prosecutor might advise commanders on combat targeting rules during deployment. A civil engineer working for your city could be building bridges on a forward operating base next month. A college professor, airline pilot, police officer, they all serve. Reservists deploy overseas with combat units. They respond to natural disasters at home. They run missions in intel, aviation, logistics, engineering, law, medicine, and more. Because they wear the uniform, they live two lives. But they serve one mission, and that's be ready when the nation calls. So why do people join the reserves? And more importantly, why do they stay? Yes, there are benefits, and they're real benefits. For education, many use the GI Bill to finish college without going into debt. Some get tuition waived through state programs, and others use student loan repayment to finally get out from under that burden. There's also career development benefits. Reservists get certified in cybersecurity, aviation, logistics, and more. They gain leadership experience in high-pressure environments, experience that translates directly to the civilian workforce. There's also healthcare and retirement. With TRICARE Reserve Select, many reservists can afford health insurance they couldn't otherwise get. And after 20 qualifying years, even serving part-time, they become eligible for a military pension. But here's the thing. Those benefits may bring people in, but they're not what's keeping them in. What keeps them in is purpose. It's that feeling of standing in formation next to people you'd follow anywhere. It's knowing that while others hit snooze, you showed up. While others scroll headlines, you put your boots on. It's the pride of belonging to something that requires sacrifice and rewards it with trust. Some reservists join because they want to serve, but can't commit to active duty. Some transition from active duty because they're not ready to hang it up completely. Others, students, parents, business owners, make space in their lives because they believe in something bigger than a paycheck or promotion. And they do it without leaving their lives behind. That's the promise of the reserve component. You can serve your country and still be who you are. You can be a teacher, a nurse, a software engineer, and also a soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, or Coast Guardsman. That's why they stay. Not for the money, not for the medals, but for the mission, the people, and the profound sense that what they're doing actually matters. As we wrap up, let's talk about some things that you probably should know about people who serve in the reserves. As we've talked about, they live two lives. They're in your office, your classroom, your neighborhood, until the moment they're needed elsewhere. And then they go. They don't ask for a parade. They want to be understood. So if you're a friend or a family member, your loved one isn't just gone for drill. They're stepping into a demanding, high-stakes role that could involve real-world deployments or emergencies. Support means flexibility, encouragement, and understanding that they're balancing two jobs, one you see and one you don't. They may come home tired, emotionally split, or mentally distant. Be patient, stay connected, ask real questions. If you're an employer or a coworker, your employee isn't away for the weekend. They're serving in a mission-critical role that supports national security. USARA protects their job, but going above and beyond builds trust, loyalty, and retention. Make a plan, acknowledge their service, help them transition smoothly in and out of uniform. When you support a reservist, you're not just doing the right thing, you're investing in a more resilient organization and a safer country. And the bottom line is, let's call it for what it is. The reserve component is America's surge force. It's the military's answer to everything from wildfires and pandemics to full-scale war. And it's held together by people, volunteers, who make it work despite the stress, the strain, and the sacrifice. If we lose that force through burnout, misunderstanding, or neglect, we lose our ability to respond. That's to respond to war, to crisis, to anything. So next time someone tells you that they're in the Guard or the Reserve, don't just say thank you. Ask them what they do. Listen, support them, advocate for them. Because supporting them isn't just patriotic, it's national security. Well, that's it for today's Midweek Sitrep. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, share, and stay engaged. While you're at it, stop by our store and pick up some merch. The link is in the description, on our social media accounts, and our website. If you're thinking about joining the military or the reserves, and you have any questions, please reach out. I'm happy to chat with you or put you in contact with the right people. I'm Jerry Fowler, and remember, everything is national security. See you next time. Midweek Sitrep with Jerry Fowler is an independent production of OpScent Media Group, LLC. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, financial, or professional advice. Listeners should consult with a qualified professional before making any decisions based upon the content discussed. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host, Jerry Fowler, and any guest and do not reflect the official policy, position, or endorsement of any current or former employer, client, government agency, military organization, educational institution, or any other entity for which the host, Jerry Fowler, may be affiliated. Mention of a company, product, or service does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation. Any references are provided for informational purposes only. This podcast does not disclose any classified, proprietary, or confidential information. All discussions are based upon publicly available information and personal expertise.
Everything's national security. OpSent Media Group, LLC.